Hello and welcome to EideCast. Is this thing on? I'm here with sales and leasing consultant from Vern Eide Acura, Jacob Sample.
Thank you.
Jacob, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
I'm excited to learn more about you. I guess my first question is, what would you say you do here?
Well, in the simplest of terms, I sell and lease cars, right? But that's just the simple term.
Sure.
What I really do is help people, right? I either help people discover their dreams. Acura is a premium brand, and that's what I predominantly sell for new cars. So very predominant brand. People love them. So it's nice to see people very happy hopping into a car that they've dreamt of for a while.
Yeah.
Or there's the other side of the fact that you're getting a first-time car buyer, or you're getting somebody that's had bad credit situation and you're helping them recover that.
Yeah.
So I think in the gist of things, it's really helping people get either to their dream or to a better financial future for themselves, which is really satisfying.
Yeah, right. And that's something I think maybe could get lost on people is like you think, oh, we're just trying to sell cars. It's like, no, there's more to it than that. It's each individual case is different, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I love about this job, right? Every customer's different. Every situation is different. There's none of the same. So it's just really satisfying to help people.
Yeah, and I'm sure like with a cars like Acuras, I'm sure like you've learned along the way, but it's probably just a different echelon of like the car itself probably sells itself in a way because it's just so unique, like the cars that they have and like the trim levels. And what do you like most about selling Acuras?
I think what I like most is that Acura really values the customer, right? So you have a lot of these luxury brands out there, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, that you get the car, but then you have to buy all these packages, right? And it gets really expensive. Whereas Acura, most of that stuff is standard.
Yeah.
Now you get different trim levels to add things, right? But at the end of the day, we end up being a better value, but you're still getting the luxury car.
Right.
So that's what I really like about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How did you end up at Vern Eide?
So funny story. I got laid off during the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
When I was up in Watertown selling vehicles. Came down here because there's a lot more opportunity down here. Became a bill collector, which was just not fun. I did that for a year and a half. I got burnt out real quick.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get back into mobile sales. That's what I was really looking for. But then I just saw this Vern Eide Acura job pop up while I was just looking on Indeed, and I'm like, why not? Yeah. let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then I met Damon and Brian at Acura, and it was just a fit.
Yeah.
So I felt very comfortable there from the get-go. It took a while to get going there at Acura. I never sold cars.
Oh, yeah.
Selling cars is way different than selling cell phones.
Sure.
Way different ballgame. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it just was a natural fit, and things have really grown for me there.
Yeah. So how long have you been here then?
2.5 years.
Okay.
Yep.
So it was like in 2020.
October 21 is when it started.
Right
so.
in the midst of it,
Yep.
Was it hard moving down from Watertown, or is it the size of city? You like the size of Sioux Falls?
I like the size of Sioux Falls. I mean, I'm not a really big city guy, but at the end of the day, this isn't a huge city.
Right,
so
that's true.
You get a lot of some of the big city stuff, but you get more small town feel to some of it too. So it's a nice fit.
Yeah. What do you have for family when you moved down here? Is it just you, or
it was just me? There's nobody here.
Yep.
It was just me and my family's all back in Sheldon, my hometown.
Okay, sure.
Which I'm sure we'll get to that later, but that's where they're from. I've got family in Sioux City.
Okay.
But Sioux Falls, I just wanted to be independent on my own 2 feet and be on my own and see how things went. And things have gone tremendously well.
That's awesome.
So,
did you think like when you first? I mean, you applied and you went and met Damon and Brian and everything went really well, and you thought, oh, this will be a good fit. Is it what you thought it would be, or is it exceeded it, or is it about what you thought of expectations?
It's not what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought I would just be sitting there calling clients and, they come in, they look at the car, I do my pitch, and they buy a car. It's not that.
Yeah.
You learn when you're in the business. You got to get out in the community. You gotta have an online presence. There's just a number of things you have to do.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot to learn over the last 2.5 years, and I'm still learning. Don't get me wrong. I don't have everything down to a T.
Sure.
But there's there's the ups and downs of the business I've had to deal with. There's, especially with the pandemic and when I started, there's just a lot of things that are involved in it. So it's exciting that I get to do something different every day instead of just pay me your money.
No kidding. I would think that's
nice.
Well, I mean, it's probably one of the toughest times anyone could ever start. So you probably start at the toughest, and no matter what, from there, it's probably going to be better.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's like really hard to sell cars in the pandemic, I would assume.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially when you only had 24 cars in the lot.
Like right, exactly.
When it started.
Yeah,
so,
no one was like producing cars. So.
Right. So,
yeah, that's crazy. How would you? How has the team at Acura been for like teaching you or like helping you along the way?
Fantastic. I've picked up a lot from Brian because he was on the sales floor right first before he got on the desk, and I definitely learned a lot from him just by sitting there listening to him when he comes and talks to my customers, or giving me tips in the office when I'm in a bind or feel like I'm in a bind. I mean, I felt like I learned a lot from him, and then the salespeople there. I mean, you have Colin there that's been there since the doors open. You have Kevin there that's been there a long time. You have Ruel that's been in the car business for a long time. So they've seen everything. Right. So it's just listening to their stories, listening how they do things, and learning from them and taking some of that stuff and using it. That's really gotten to me to the point where I'm at.
That's awesome. So where did you grow up? You said Sheldon. Is that Iowa?
Sheldon, Iowa.
Yep. Okay.
And that's not the whole story.
Sure.
So Sioux City is where I was born. I was living in Elk Point, South Dakota for the first 12 years of my life. Mother was a single mother. You know, she struggled really bad. It was a struggle for us. Met my stepdad up in Sheldon, moved up there when I was 13, did middle high school there. Really good move for me at the end of it, and I'll get into that a little later.
Sure.
But yeah, so I mean, it was both places were good to grow up in. I consider Sheldon my home.
Okay.
So I just everything that I grew up with there at that period of time, and all the connections I have in that town is just amazing. So, and then of course I bounced around a little bit between Sioux City and. Then I went up to Watertown when I got transferred up there for mobile sales, and then obviously came down here. So
So it feels like a pretty natural time. Like, what's something that people maybe don't know about you?
So that's what I said. I get back to Sheldon, right?
Sure.
The move was good for me because I'm, according to other people, I'm good at singing.
There you go.
But I'm also a big theater nerd.
Okay.
Really big theater nerd.
Yeah.
I just got done judging speech contests this past weekend. So I do that twice a year in Iowa. It's a fun time for me. So I got done doing that. But I did, between that time frame, I did about 15 plays and musicals. I was in speech contests, jazz band, marching band, everything you can think of I did. Very much a fine arts kid, which a lot of people don't know the extent of it. So I was very heavily involved. I haven't done a lot since leaving high school.
Sure.
But it's still a passion.
Have you thought about it?
I have. There's community theater here in Sioux Falls. I've been here a couple of years now. I'll probably see if I get my foot in the door this year. We'll see what happens with that. But I've thought about getting involved again. So
some like symphony orchestra, I think, has choir too. There's some choirs around, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If you want to keep doing that, but so some people dip their toe in the fine arts pool, and you're more of a jump in the deep end.
Dive, deep end,
head first. Let's get in it. That's awesome.
Yep.
Were you always into that kind of stuff, like as a kid, or is it something you found like when you got into high school?
No. So funny. So when I was a little kid, our soldiers came back from Iraq, I want to say, in Elk Point. We had a lady there named Elaine Peacock. She goes around and sings at nursing homes and things like that. She's good friends with my grandmother. Well, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother when my mom was alone because she works overnights sometimes. So one night we were in the back of the car. God Bless the USA comes on. I start singing the whole dang thing. And she turns around and she's like, he needs to sing that when these soldiers come home.
That's awesome.
So that was the start.
How old were you then?
Oh, gosh.
Ballpark it?
7. Wow. 6, 7 years old. I was very young. So I did that. I don't remember it. They tell me this every year. Never remember it. I guess when I was singing, I went and shook every soldier's hand.
Wow.
Don't remember it
Holy cow.
some reason. don't remember it at all.
That's crazy.
But there's video.
Yeah, so it
exists.
exists.
It
So you know
exists.
it was you.
Yep. But,
That's awesome.
So that's kind of cool. But yeah, that's where I got my start. I went out around and sang with her for a while until I obviously moved, and then obviously the natural progression.
That's
was
crazy. That's
fine
awesome.
arts in middle and high school. So
That's really cool. How much did like fine arts being involved in that help with like high school, do you think, for you?
Oh, extremely.
Yeah.
Gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a sense of community. Because Sheldon's a huge fine arts community.
Yeah.
They're not really a sports town, which is abnormal for this day and
For
age.
sure, yeah.
So, to speak to it, my class, when we went to our senior year, I was involved heavily in show choir as well.
Sure.
Half the show choir was my class.
Yeah.
So my class was also just a heavy fine arts class on top of it. So
Interesting.
sports side of it kind of sucked,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But no, I think I grew tremendously during high school, during all that stuff.
Yeah.
Just learning teamwork, just learning, the skills needed for life out of it too.
Yeah.
And really just blooming in high school to become who I am now.
That's awesome. That's what it's for, man.
Yep.
What would you say? I know this is going maybe more towards like work now, but like what would you say is your why? Like what kind of drives you every day?
There's a couple of reasons. My mother drives me. She passed away in 2020 from COVID. So,
okay.
But it drives me to, she never had a good life. She struggled her whole life until the end of it. And then when she got to it, unfortunately that happened.
Yeah.
She was sick for a while. The COVID just got her. But that drives me to make a life and show her that I can make a life that she never had. The other why, that kind of leads into the other why, is I want to have a life that nobody in my family really has.
Sure.
Most of my family that doesn't, they go paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to do that.
Right.
I want to set up my future family to have success in the future.
Right.
So, that's not a knock against my family. So whoever watches this, don't get me wrong. I love my family, but I just want to have set it up to where me and my future family have financial freedom, hopefully. So,
is that something that's kind of been your goal based on like since you started here or just in general?
Just in general.
Yeah.
Cell phones didn't really do it.
Yeah.
They're a fun job, but there's not a lot of money there. This is a fun job. Plus, there's the potential to make whatever you want.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
That's kind of the nice thing.
Yeah,
So-
you kind of are in control of that.
Correct.
To a degree.
To
I mean, like,
to an extent.
yeah, if you put the work in, put the effort in,
Right.
you're going to be rewarded for it.
Correct. Yep.
So that's awesome. What's your favorite part of your job then?
There's a lot that I like about my job. I think it's just talking to different people every day. I'm very much a people person.
Yeah.
I like to make friends with everybody and small talk with everybody and just kind of, just jive with people.
Yeah.
I like just hearing other people's experiences, hearing about their life stories. It's fun for me.
Yeah. Yep. Everything's different.
Yeah.
Every day is different, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Like nothing's the same 2 days in a row.
Absolutely not.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
I'm a pretty boring person outside of work, to be quite honest. I'm a big history buff. I do watch a lot of history stuff.
Okay.
I got that from my uncle. He was a history teacher. And
Sure.
I got that from him. Obviously, I'll listen to concerts and things like that.
Sure.
Study speech and all that kind of stuff for when I do judge. Other than that, I mean, read books, general stuff.
Yeah.
Walk. Just not super anything interesting, but just
it's interesting.
leading a normal life.
Yeah. So how long have you been judging then for interp and that type of stuff?
So Iowa speech is different. Sure. It's not just speech.
Yeah.
They do different categories. So like you have large group speech, which is one act play and musical theater and choral reading and all those kind of things. There's a lot of categories. There's same thing with individual speech. It's just like what I just got done judging.
Sure.
I've been doing it off and on since I left high school.
Yeah.
So because they let you do it right after you leave.
Oh wow.
So I got to go back this year for the first time in a couple of years, but it's
probably
fun for me.
It is. I'm sure you can is probably, you can see the growth as far as like even like the pieces that are done are probably different than from when you were even in high school. Like
it's been extremely wonderful to see the evolution of where things are going with the modern technology age and those kind of things. Now in technology, some of it is in there, some of it, stays the same, but it's just cool to see the evolution of different categories as the years go.
When did you graduate high school?
2014.
2014.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, I'm not.
It'll be a decade this year.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That's good math. That's easy. That's easy math I could have done. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
I guess like one thing I'm wondering, like, I guess my last question is, are you like a book guy, a music guy, or a movie guy? If you had to pick one of those things,
well, I think you know what I'm going to answer.
I think it's music.
It's definitely a music.
Okay. So if you had to pick your top 3, I don't know, you can decide artists, album, songs of all time.
Yep.
What would you say your top 3? What are you going to say?
So I'm going to do something a little different.
Oh, let's do it.
So I'm going to go into the categories I like.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm into choir,
yep.
choral stuff,
Get
right?
after it.
There's this song we did in Allstate called "Sure on This Shining Night."
Okay,
just a gorgeous song.
Yeah.
If you ever look it up on YouTube, there's a college group that does it in like this church, and everything just reverberates.
Oh, really?
Just gorgeous.
That's awesome.
That was probably my favorite song out of any of the Allstate choirs that I was a part of in high school.
Yeah.
Second, I'm a big country fan. Huge country fan.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of Dan and Shay.
Okay.
That group is really nice. They're country. They're a little bit of pop too. But it's, I don't know. I just really enjoy their music. First song I ever heard with them was Tequila.
Okay.
So, just a really good group. I'm also a little bit into some alternative stuff. There's a guy out there named Dax. He's a rapper / singer from Canada.
All right.
Not maybe as well known.
Mm-hmm.
However, he does really powerful pieces.
Yeah.
He just got one of his songs is about alcohol and being alcoholic and things like that, and working and fighting that.
Yeah.
So I think those are just huge things for people to listen to when they're in those situations, just to get some inspiration.
Well, yeah, music can do that, right?
Right.
Like, no matter what lyrically, some people are more the music side of things, the lyric side of things.
Yep.
If you can get both.
Yep.
And it's like, I think music is a way to do that.
Absolutely. It's emotional, right?
Yeah.
It can make you can bring emotions out of people
For
you wouldn't expect to bring out of people with music, and music just does that.
Yeah.
So.
What the Dan and Shay one, Tequila, how's that one go again?
You want me to sing?
Yeah.
Because I will.
Get after it, man. We're here.
Oh, gosh. When I taste tequila,
there it is.
Baby, I still see you. Something
one.
like that.
There it is.
So
nice. I love it.
Yeah, so it's fun.
Way to do it, man.
Yeah.
So has that never been a fear for you then? Like when you were young, like you don't remember it, but like singing in front of people?
No.
It never been a
Just
fear. Go up there and get after it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
No.
That's hard to do.
It's very hard for some people. Yeah, it is. It is. And it's not easy being in front of people.
Right.
Right. But I guess it just naturally came to me. I don't know why.
Put yourself out there. And
so that's why I enjoy doing this stuff. Because it doesn't bother me to do things like this.
Exactly. So. Well, we're glad that you came. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us.
Absolutely.
This is another episode of Is This Thing On? We were here with Jacob Sample. Jacob, thank you for taking the time. We'll just awkwardly handshake around a microphone there, and we'll end it. So thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the next one.